Bellissima. Maybe Damodar Prabhu?
Which song?
What do you recommend?
Sujana, Buddha,
Sure.
Sujana.
Page 80, right?
Yeah. 80.
80, yeah.
Sujana, Radhika, Adayugam, Yugadam, Adorandara, Patravam.
Sujana Buddha Adayugam Yugadam Wonderful. Something for Nityananda or Mahaprabhu?
Nadia Gopal. We can do 122.
Welcome, James. There is a lot of space here. No.
Near the camera, forget it.
And they ask you.
I'm going to hide.
Which song? Nitai Pada Kamala?
122.
Nice one. What one? 122.
122.
122.
Nitai pada kamala koti chandra susitala.
Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Susitala
Yechaya ya jagata juda.
Nitaya Jagata Juna
Yechaya ya jagata juda.
128. I sing Gaurangera Duti Pada. Okay. Gaurangera Duti Pada Jardana Sampada.
Gaurangera Duti Pada Jadana Sampada.
Hidane Bhakti Rasa Sa.
Sejane Bhakti Rasa.
Gaurangera Madhulila. It's 3. Yeah, it's a slow 3, right? Gaurangera, you follow Panditan and Nandini. Gaurangera Madhulila. Jarkane Praveshila. Hidaya maybe Bajahudemana. You sing, you play nicely for me.
I'll go back to my place.
He's doing the media actually. But you're very musical actually. Your singing is very nice and playing very Oh, Pandita's gonna sing, yeah. Pandita. $155. $155.
Bajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Aya Charanara Vrindare
Bajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vrindare
Bajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandana
Premanande. Haribo. Oh, Induleka made it. So good to see you. Is the whole family here?
Almost. Yeah.
Okay.
Anjali is here.
Okay. Okay, great. Nice to see you too. Well, maybe we should go to discussion now, Didi, or what do you say?
We do what?
To discussion now, or you say? Yeah.
Maybe we wait for Krishna Banda to sing Avatara Sara? It's 8:37.
Jai Sriyukta Vishakha Devi ki jai.
Okay. Okay, then. Okay, we can have him sing later.
We can
so-
have the artist sing the artist.
Okay, okay. So now it's 12:30, right? So, well, very happy to be here with our family in London, having a 2-day festival. Right. And I think this is the first time I've been in London for this festival, actually. And it's been very, very wonderful. And in our temple in Bengal, it would be a week-long festival, actually. And many of you have participated in that. And Anjali Didi, hi. Ivo.
Now it's a party.
Sorry, better late than not.
Oh, definitely.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Yeah, shut up, door.
Please be comfortable, Didi.
Oh my goodness.
Anjali's been in our week-long festival many times, of course, in India. And so there would be 4 days of visiting all of the holy places connected with the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Did you ever make it for Gaura Purnima? Yeah, a few times maybe.
Yeah, couple of times.
A few
Twice,
times.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When Gurudev was there.
Yeah, trying to think. First time 97, second time
Okay.
2000.
Okay. Okay, very nice. And it was always very, very joyful. Everyone would be up very early. The loudspeakers would start around 3 in the morning. and then going out the door, then we had our morning worship from around 4, and then going out the door maybe around 5:30, something like that. And our Gurudev would personally, he wouldn't join us on the Prikrama, but the pilgrimage, but he would come down and like lead us out, you know. And that, oh, this feels too much. Is it necessary? Is it going to the kitchen, is it? Or? Oh, you can't hear, so, oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Okay. You're such a rock star, Anjali. You said you're such a rock star. I just want to like stare at you. You look so cool. She's like a queen, you know, Anjali.
Famous one.
So we go out the door very early, walking, whole day walking and visiting so many places. Mahaprabhu's birthplace and where he grew up and where he would hold his special kirtan, places of his associates, and also places connected with some ancient pastimes as well. So we had a full 4 days of that, and all very beautiful in the countryside of West Bengal. It was very, very joyful, and singing and dancing the whole way, you know. very, very joyful. So we'd have 4 days of this, and then we had the day of Gaura Purnima itself, which was, whole day festival, fasting, service, chanting, reading, hearing, And now today is also a festival. Generally, very special days are minimum 3-day festival. There's the day before at Adivas, and then there's the day itself, and the day after is also a festival. In general, the Vedic culture, it's a celebratory culture, actually. It's about celebration. And I was discussing with our friend Pedro here earlier, some practices, some mood we find in religion is very fear-based, right? This is one style, mood in religion, right? But we could say in the Vedic tradition in general, particularly perhaps in Krishna consciousness, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there's a strong emphasis on celebration, on love. And Vrindavan was saying, taking very good food, very good prasadam, chanting, having very good company. It is actually a very happy practice. If our vision is kitchen religion, some people say, it is a very happy practice. In Chaitanya, our scripture, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu mentions there, chanting, dancing, taking prasad, this taking nice prasad, this is our religion, right? But of course, there's also the challenging side, right? And that is that, what is the real gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It is actually Sharanagati, means surrender. Right, so surrendering of the ego, that is what is difficult, actually. That is the real challenge. Hi, Krishna Bandhu Prabhu, Chandavat, Nitai, wow, getting tall. Krishna Bandhu, he would have participated as a young boy you must have been on the Navadvip Prikrama when you were like 8 years old, right?
Sure, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We're talking about Navadvip Prikrama.
Yeah.
So Sharanagati, this is actually the real essence of what is Krishna consciousness. And we can say Lord Chaitanya came with the gift of the holy name, right? Sankirtan, Kirtan. He came with that as the practice, as the dharma of this age. And he also gave prema, divine love, as the goal, the highest goal of life, right? Beyond the general objectives of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, right? General religion, wealth, sense pleasure, and liberation. He showed that prema, divine love, is he described as the pancham purushartha, the 5th goal, and what is actually the real attainment of the soul. These other goals of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they are pertaining to our existence in this world, right? But are you familiar with those terms right now? Dharma, artha, kama. Yeah, you're quite well read now, aren't you? Oh, I know you. I'm talking to Pedro. You're a long time devotee. Actually, you were a devotee, when I was like a young kid, right? I know Prabhu since I was a young kid in London. No, our Pedro here, he's still coming new to this, yeah. So all of these things are meaningful, as members of this world, right? But once someone has actually transcended this world, once one's already living on the platform of the soul, those things are no longer relevant. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that prema, divine love, that is the real attainment of the soul. That is the real goal of life. That is the highest goal of life. And so you can say these two things of Harinama, Harinam, the holy name, and prema, divine love. These are the two things that he propagated in his years in this world. But then he also taught, as the means to truly attain those things, he promoted Sharanagati, which means surrender. Right? And we sing in one of our morning songs, right? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jive Doya Kori Swaparshada Sviyanamasa Atyanta Durlabha Prema Kodibade Dana Shikaya Sharanagati Bhakateda Pran. That he came with this very rare gift of prema, divine love, and in order to give that to the souls, he spread the teachings of Sharanagati, surrender. Right? So it is truly through this that we can connect with that higher plane, that higher world. We can open our hearts and receive, divine light, divine revelation from above. And so these are, you may have come across in your readings, that these are kind of like two lines of the Vedic teachings, right? One is Aroha Panta, which means the ascending path, and general yoga practices, they are more focused on that. Right? That means that we advance on the basis of our own endeavor, right? Through our own practices of, mind control, sense control, and so on. Right? This is Aroha Panta. And then the other line is Avaroha Panta, means descending, the descending line. And in this approach, one, rather than depending on one's own strength, one is depending on grace from above. And so in the culture of bhakti and the culture of devotion in general, it is in this line, right? That there, of course, there's importance on our own effort to some extent, and that is what we call sadhana, right? That we try to follow some type of standard, some type of regulated practice. But we also know that ultimately that won't be our ticket, right? Why? Because this is about love. It's not a business transaction, right? That I'll do this and this and I can expect this and this result. But we are hoping to receive the mercy and the love of the Supreme Lord. So it is about developing a loving relationship. And it's also about accessing something that is beyond what we are. Right? And so it's not, and what I mean to say is it's not that we have a right to that. That higher substance of divine love, it is not that we have a right to that we're owed anything, right? And it's not also that we really have anything to bring to the table as well, right? What can we bring that will impress Krishna? What can we bring him that he needs, right? There's nothing, right? So it's all about inviting the mercy and the grace of that higher plane of our loving Lord. So that is really at the real heart of what our practice is. And ultimately, all of the practices that we carry out, they're just like vehicles. They're a means of expressing our heart, right? Just like we may be doing the puja, we may be doing the worship, but really we're trying to offer ourselves, right? Ultimately, it's not about waving the incense sticks and everything else, but of course, that has meaning too. But what the Lord is really looking for is our heart, right? He is hungry for that. That is the only thing that he is hungry for. And so this is really the essence of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this, the holy name, it is a wonderful way to express that mood of Sharanagati, that mood of surrender, right? So we could say everything centers around these three things, right? The aspiration for divine love, right? The practice of the holy name and chanting, and attempting to give ourselves through the spirit of Sharanagati, through the spirit of surrender. And so all of these songs, some persons, they may be a little overwhelmed when they first come. They sing so many songs, In some other organizations, they don't sing so many songs, actually. It might seem a little, different language and so many words, But if you look at the meanings of these songs, they're very beautiful. And actually, they're all centered around, for the most part, the topic is Sharanagati, surrender. They're exploring this mood of devotion, this mood of self-giving, this mood of surrender, self-submission, self-offering. And one of our modern gurus, Bhakti Vinod, he wrote this songbook, right, Sharanagati, which is exploring these different aspects of surrender. And it's also discussed in the scriptures that there are 6 different expressions of surrender. Right? So there's surrender and humility, right? There's accepting what is favorable, rejecting what is unfavorable to a life of surrender. There is fully self-giving. There's confidence in the Lord's protection, right? And I'm missing one. Embracing the Lord's guardianship. Very nice. Embracing the Lord's guardianship. And so there are these. It's there's a science to all of this, right? How can we attract, like a lightning rod, right? Is in a good position to attract the lightning. So how can we make ourselves like lightning rods like that to attract the mercy, attract the grace of the Lord? There was one meeting that our Param Guru, our grandfather Guru Srila Sridhar Maharaj attended once. This was in Karachi. This would have been in the early 1900s. And it was some type of convention, and there were different speakers representing different schools of thought. And then our grandfather Guru, he spoke, he gave his lecture, speaking on the teachings of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And then afterwards, there was someone who challenged him and said, you're speaking about the infinite, but you yourself are a finite being. How is it possible for the finite to know the infinite? How is that possible? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was very brilliant, and he responded very quickly, and he said, yes, you're right, actually. It's not possible for the finite to approach the infinite. However, we have to turn this around, consider it from the other side, that how is it not possible for the infinite to approach the finite? Right? It may not be possible for the finite to approach the infinite, but it's certainly possible for the infinite to approach the finite. So in other words, if the infinite chooses to reveal itself to the finite, then he must be known to the finite. So it is coming from his side, right? That he has that power, he has that capacity by some means to make himself known. Right? So this is like the premise of our whole practice, right? And our whole approach towards divinity. That actually on our own, it's not possible to approach that higher entity. But it is possible for him, to make that bridge, right? To make himself known to us, right? And then what will the medium be, right? The medium will be love, right? What will be the basis of that relationship? Love, mercy, grace, not by right, anything like that. And so this is like the foundation of everything. This is the science of surrender, the science of devotion. How can we attract mercy from above? Right? It's not a mechanical thing. It's not a business transaction. It's not that by chanting 200 rounds every day or whatever it may be, right? There's not a formula, is what I mean to say. It's not that there's some formula. There are guidelines that can help us, right? But ultimately it comes down to how can I attract the mercy and love from it? How can I attract the heart of that higher entity, right? It comes down to that. Or Srila Sridhar Maharaj says in one place, how can I prove that I'm the most needy? How can I prove that I'm in most need of his grace? Right? And so we can't say, by doing this perfectly or doing that perfectly or being the best at this or best at that. No, none of that will help us. Right? But how can I, rather the opposite, how can I prove that I'm in the most need of His mercy, His love, His grace, His attention. Right? And sometimes we even hear stories of devotees who are embracing difficulty, right? Because they get more attention from Krishna when that difficulty comes. Or they put themselves in particular circumstances, that will attract His attention. Right? Now, this is a very high level of devotion. Of course, we don't imitate that. So this is our life, and all of these songs that we sing, for the most part, they're exploring this mood of surrender. Maybe everyone can move forward a little bit. And I travel a lot, and I see that it's very nice to see that in many places in the world the teachings of bhakti, the practice of kirtan, it's becoming more well known, it's becoming more popular, and that's a very beautiful thing to see. But this is really like the key point that you can see distinguishes those who are going into this more deeply and those who are approaching it in more of a superficial way. Whether they are going into the teachings of surrender, the teachings of Sharanagati. Because otherwise it's a very nice lifestyle, right? It's a very nice way to live your life, And you can get a lot of inner peace from it and all those other things. Well, that's because you're diving too deep. You should back out a little bit.
It's troublesome in this world and that world. It's just trouble.
That's because you're fighting the real battle.
Don't do anything right, ever.
But, once we start to go a little deeper into this, then we understand, our real need is the culture of self-giving, surrender, clearing of the ego, the ahankara, right? It comes down to that, And that's when the real practice begins, actually. The fire of self-sacrifice, as Srila Sridhar says. But Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came and he taught these teachings, and he also showed us the beauty of such a life, the joy and the beauty of such a life, And as we were discussing yesterday, Mahaprabhu, he is a hidden manifestation, because he is Krishna, he's the Supreme Lord, but he's coming in the mood of a devotee. And for that reason, actually, in India, for example, he's quite unknown, and if he is known, then generally he's appreciated as a great saint. But there are not so many, there are relatively few who appreciate him as we do, as the Supreme Lord himself. Because he's coming in this hidden way, not showing himself to be God, but rather showing what it is to be a devotee of God. And we know, as we were discussing yesterday, he genuinely wants to explore that for himself. He wants to explore the joy of being a devotee, the supreme joy that comes from that. But he's also very mercifully giving an example to all of us and showing us what it means to be a true devotee of the Lord. So it's a very, very joyful time for us. I don't know if anyone wants to welcome Satish. I don't know if anyone wants to bring up a topic. I know we have a lot of special guests today. If anyone wants to bring up something for this day.
Guests as
Yes.
well. Don't have to ask a question.
How can we attain the fact that we really want God and God is the answer to all questions? They'll solve that one thing, will solve all our life's problems how do we, what you talked about before, lolium, this focusing on this one point, will be like the answer to all the questions.
You're saying, how can we appreciate that?
Yeah, how are we saying to get the need to, and the inspiration to think that, appreciate the fact that this will be the one answer to everything pretty much, you know?
Well, there's a difference, right, between theoretical understanding and then actually feeling that within ourselves, right? And I think that's what you're saying. And I think, first of all, having a theoretical understanding, that's a very wonderful thing. You know, that's a pretty big step forward. Right? And what you're describing, this is the definition of faith, right? This is what we call Shraddha, faith, right? To have the firm conviction that everything can be achieved through this one central thing, right? And that analogy is given in the script. There's space here also. You can come here. You can sit here as well. There's space. That very helpful analogy is given in the scriptures of watering the root of the tree, right? That if we water the root of the tree, then all parts of the tree are nourished. Right? If we see the leaves are shriveling up, we don't go to water the leaves, but we water the root, right? So this is the analogy given in the scriptures. And so we are told, right, by giving our attention to the center of all of existence, right, by giving our hearts to Krishna, then everything, all duties will be fulfilled, all of our inner needs and wants, they will also be fulfilled. Right? This is the teaching that is coming from above. Right? And we can appreciate that on some level, and we're trying to approach that. But at the same time, as you say, right, it's not that we feel that in a wholesale way. You know, we're not necessarily living that at every moment in our life, right? And so how can we increase such faith in our hearts, you know? And I think the answer is, the main answer, is sadhu sangha, right? To keep good association and to keep association with those who have that in a deeper way in their hearts, right? This lolyam, we hear this word lolyam, means a hunger, means a greed. Right? And so if we can associate with those who have that, then it will naturally grow. It's just a natural thing. Whoever we associate with will start to take on their qualities, right? And so if we associate with those who have this hunger in a more intense way than ourselves, you know, then naturally it will come to us more and more. And also we can try to design our lives as much as possible in such a way as to increase that hunger, right? And so this is where we have so many helpful guidelines and advices, the 9 practices of devotion, these 6 limbs of surrender, sharanagati, the Upadeshamrita advice is very helpful for us also, right? So if we try to structure our life in such a way that is encouraging this as much as possible, right? Acceptance of the favorable, right? Embracing everything that's supporting our practice of devotion, rejection of the unfavorable, to reject everything that is not helpful, right? One way to keep ourselves hungry is we don't eat junk food, right? So if we avoid too much association with everything that's taking us away, then naturally we'll feel more need and hunger for our spiritual life, right? So it's a very tricky thing, right? Because ultimately what we're hankering for, it's very natural. It's something very spontaneous within us, right? But at the same time, because we haven't realized that, then we have to take help of some structure and some regulations, right? It's kind of like a tricky dance, right? Because we can't get too obsessed with the structure and the regulation, but at the same time, we cannot completely dismiss it. This is also mentioned in Upadeshamrita, right? The niyamagraha, right? To be too rigid and strict on the rules and also to be too relaxed about them, both is unhelpful. So there's some middle ground, right? But to take help of some structured life of sadhana, that is very helpful. And the main thing comes down to is our company, right? Our gurus are always emphasizing that. Good association, sadhu sangha. And so to try to take advantage of that as much as possible, right? And to keep tapping in, right? To keep tuning in, right? Even if it's just a few minutes every day, I like to try and start my day with Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I find that you just get so much perspective. Maybe 5 minutes before, I was in so much angst about something. I thought it was the end of the world, and everything's so terrible and everything's ending. You're worried about this and that, and it's impossible. And then you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you hear, where is Mahaprabhu living, where is Mahaprabhu's associates living, how joyful they are in their life of devotion. And suddenly everything else just shrinks into some tiny little... There's that analogy given, it's in Prapanajivanamrita, right? For one who's living in connection with the Lord, then all the problems of this world, they're reduced to the size of a baby calf, right? The water that's contained within the hoof prints of a calf. Everything gets reduced to that, So really what we're lacking is perspective, right? We lose perspective of what is our real condition, what is the real condition of this world, what is our real need, what is actually important, what is not important. We're just lacking perspective, right? And so by tapping into higher vision, tapping into a higher stream of consciousness, whether it's in the form of books or hearing or association, physical association, and it is all helping to adjust us, right? Our Guru Srila Saraswati Thakur, he used to like to say, religion means proper adjustment. Religion means proper adjustment. And so we're constantly trying to adjust ourselves in relation to higher vision and higher thought, right? And now we're in the stage of practice, so it may feel a little artificial sometimes, right? But ultimately it will reveal, it is within our own hearts, right? It's not that this is some external thing that we are imbibing, but ultimately it is our own wealth, right? And sometimes you can come. And sometimes we get some touch of that, right? And we feel that this is our own wealth, right? We feel how natural it is. And that gives us some encouragement to continue, to go on. But yes, sometimes we are going forward in a little bit of a blind way, right? Because it's just like a doctor may tell someone, you need to follow this diet, right? You have to do these exercises. And in the beginning, it may be very frustrating, right? Because you're not seeing results immediately, and you're not necessarily enjoying that diet or those exercises. Maybe a little uncomfortable. But you have faith in your doctor, and you can understand the theory of why this is good for you. And so Gurudev, generally we discourage blind faith. But our Gurudev pointed out once that some element of blind faith will be there, simply because we cannot see the result immediately. But we understand the theory, and we have faith in our doctor, right? So, but it is normal that, that there will be those difficult periods, right? We can't expect it to be, Hollywood lights all the time, right? And I know sometimes practitioners get discouraged because they go through difficult times, and then they try to forcefully be happy, Toxic positivity. I find that a very helpful phrase.
Wow.
But sometimes we just have to embrace the fact that it's not going to be happy all the time, and it will be a little difficult sometimes. And that's okay, right? That's okay. Yeah, I heard one recording, someone was expressing to our Guru Srila Sridhar Maharaj, how he was facing so many challenges in his spiritual practice, and he said sometimes very long periods go by and I don't feel that Krishna is touching my life. And so he was expressing this to Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and I appreciated his answer very much. He simply said, yes, there will be periods like that. He didn't try and give him some quick fix answer, but just yes. And then he quoted this line from Upadeshamrita, the Nectar of Instruction. This Daryat, Rupa Goswami lists these 6 favorable qualities for the life of devotion: utsaha, enthusiasm. Nishchayad means conviction. And then Darya means patience, determination, right? To continue on the path. It's going to be a long road, right? So to have this patience and perseverance, to go on day by day, to go on with our practice, even if we're not feeling results all the time. So
I suppose the deeper the passion, the longer you might have to wait.
There was this one time, I always remember this too. It was in Kolkata, and this one young lady, she suffered from some mental problems, I think, and our Gurudev was so patient with her. Sometimes she would come and he treated her like a daughter, you could say, and sometimes she would come and just talk about all her struggles, and I happened to be there one time when she came, and our Gurudev, all he said to her was, yes, it will continue like this for some time. And I just loved his answer. Yes, just carry on. Yes, it will be like this. So, but we go on with our practice, right? That's the main, and I feel that that's also a test of faith, because we do see sometimes people come and they're very enthusiastic for a few days, but then some friction happens, maybe they're asked to do something they don't want to do, or maybe someone in the temple insults them or something, and then you don't see them again, right? Or different things happen. But to be able to, face these challenges and to carry on, that's a test of our faith, I feel.
Yeah, the aspects of determination and patience seem sort of almost in contradiction to each other. Because one, enthusiasm is a sort of pushing, and patience is a waiting.
Yeah, you could, but they're also intertwined, I would say. Like to patiently carry on. But consistency, yeah.
And consistency. To be determined, to be patient.
Yeah.
Happily patient.
Enthusiastically patient.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, enthusiastically patient. Yeah. We are like, the scriptures talk about these chatak birds that only live on the fresh rainwater, right? And it's said that they won't take any water from the ground, that they're always waiting. They're waiting for the drops of fresh rainwater. Right? And so we are trying to live like that, right? And we may wait for a long time. But then we experience some drops and we get new enthusiasm, right? To continue.
I remember being in distress because of the massive journey, if you like, the sojourn, and going, like I know myself, I know the what type of person, and when I was young, I found being amongst some very good devotees can be quite daunting, you know, and very, etc., etc. And Gurudev, I said to Gurudev, you know, well, Gurudev, he knows your heart, he knows everything, you know, and I'm trying to portray this, it's basically I'm trying to say, this may take me quite a while, you know, but he said it, he said to me, he said, you know, he just said, it will take time, and with a very encouraging smile to alleviate any doubt, you know, it will take time, you know, it's not like that, you know, and that put my heart and mind completely at rest, like Gurudev can, you know, he knows, you know, but it is, yeah.
You get a certain realization on this journey that it's not a quick fix, that the real thing takes genuine time, because in this world we're all used to very instant sort of gratification, and the real McCoy, as it were, is attained, you know, the realities. It can happen quick, you know, grace like that can come, but it's ongoing obviously as well. But the real thing takes time. It's not cheap. What the Buddha said, not cheap merchandise to be disposed of easily in the market. You know, like you know, like that. Mind blowing.
And the thing is too, you know, if we're really diving deep into the teachings and into the practice, then you know, then we'll be busy enough with that, right? And dealing with our own you know, inner challenges. We'll be busy with that, right? We'll be busy with that. It won't be a dry thing, you know, it won't be a dry thing. So. The sweet struggle is always there. There's one talk of our Guru Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he's saying that, because someone asked him, you know, have you seen God before? You know, and he said, Srila Sridhar Maharaj answered, I will not be so audacious as to say that I've seen God, but I can say that I'm seeing signs along the way, you know, that I'm going in the right direction. Like that. I'm seeing indications that I'm going in the right direction. And he also said, you know, I may have to wait many thousands of lifetimes before I can have that type of vision. And he said, but it doesn't matter, you know. But simply to know that I am on the genuine path towards the highest truth, that is more than enough, right? That is very satisfying in itself. And he said, I'm not interested in marketplace, like some cheap marketplace Krishna, right, as you were saying. You know? But I want the Krishna who's living in the heart of my Guru. He said like that. And I'm ready to pay any price and wait as long as it takes, you know. So that is our good fortune at like, because, you know, sometimes I think, like, how many bogus, you know, you hear all the time about like these bogus gurus and they're cheating people and this and that, and you know, our like simply to have come and found like a genuine guide, right, and genuine teachings, that's like half the battle, right? We've come to a real shelter, is what I mean to say. We've come to a real shelter. That's already very difficult to achieve, right? So we can feel very, very happy about simply that, right? To appreciate what we have, right? That will also give us a lot of encouragement, not to take it for granted, right? To appreciate what we already have, you know. I had a nice talk with our friend here, Newton, right, yesterday, and we were saying how there's this funny human tendency, right? Like 100 people may praise us, and then one person will say something negative, and that's all we can think about, right? And we're very upset. So So it's a human tendency. We'll like focus in on like the one bad thing, and we don't appreciate the wealth that we have, right? And so just to contemplate what we already have, right, and how far we've come, right? Because it's easy to get discouraged and think, oh, I'm going nowhere. But if we take a step back and like zoom out and see our life as a whole, we'll see we've come quite a long way. You know, if you think, that analogy is given, right, like when a baby is developing. If you're examining the baby day by day, you may not, you'll hear sometimes mothers, oh, my baby's not growing fast enough. I'm not starting to speak yet, right? If you're looking day by day, then you may think, oh, nothing's happening, right? But then if you look, year by year, it's, oh no, the child is growing just fine, right? And so in the same way, we may lose sight of things in our day-to-day practice. But if we zoom out and think, oh, where was I 10 years ago or 20 years ago? And how have I matured in different ways? How have I moved past different things? Then we'll be encouraged, oh no, something's happening, right? But the main thing is, if we still have some desire to carry on, we're in a good position. It's very difficult to actually measure our progress. It's almost impossible because we cannot measure it. We cannot measure it by anything external, right? How many weights you could lift, right? How heavy your weights were, right? You can't, how many rounds did you chant, or how many pots did you wash, or how many pujas did you do? It's not something we can quantify. So it's very difficult to measure. Or how many bad habits have you given up? We can't actually measure it like that. The real measurement is how much desire we have in our heart, right? How much hunger we have to hear, right? To associate. So some persons, they may be really struggling with their practice, but they still have some desire to continue hearing, to continue associating. Then that's the real thing.
Devotional service, very rare. I don't do but devotional service is it's the gift of Mahaprabhu. He's distributing, to everyone. Come, devotional service is what you want, and devotional service, it's the treasure beyond all measure.
That's a good one.
I just like these little ones.
Okay, you heard it here first.
Yeah. It was Vishakha, I heard that. Oh, it's wonderful, But those little gems, they keep me going, that it's just a little mantra. Yeah, devotional service, the treasure beyond all measure. And then, as I put the cigarette out or whatever,
Well, there you go. Nice. Does anyone else have any question or topic they'd like to bring up? Or anyone else want to share some inspiration about this festival time?
On the topic of devotion, Vishakha, we were talking about it yesterday in the car. It was, I don't know which personality it was, but in terms of devotion and trying to understand whatever our offerings are, then devotion must underlie. In an ideal world, devotion must underlie. There was one devotee who was so absorbed in Krishna consciousness, who was actually throwing away the bananas and offering the skins to the Lord. And the Lord was eating the skins and going, this is very nice. This is wonderful. And he was throwing away the bananas and offering the skins.
Yes,
so
yes.
I don't know who that was. Maybe Sudama Brahman or something.
It was the wife of Vidura, actually.
Oh, the wife of Vidura.
In Dwarka, yes.
So, and to emphasize that the Lord actually eats devotion. That's devotion is his food.
That's right.
Which is a very beautiful, amazing thing.
I also always remember this concept of Ganga Ganga
And
Puja.
speak more loud.
Ganga Jal, Ganga Puja. It's so beautiful. Like in order to do puja to Ganga, you need Ganga Jal. And so we have nothing to give. Really, like it's cyclical and it's all the Lord's possession, and only really heart is what we can give.
That's true. There's one like kind of humorous Sanskrit poetry that our Gurudev liked, and this devotee is saying, "Oh, I want to offer my mind to Krishna, because Krishna has everything, right? As Lord Vishnu, his wife is Lakshmi Devi, right? He has an ocean of wealth and jewels. He has everything, but his mind was stolen by the gopis, right? His mind was stolen by his girlfriends, and so he doesn't have a mind. So I'll offer my mind to Krishna." Of course, it's joking poetry, but yes, to offer our mind, to offer our heart, that is our necessity.
Darling, I didn't see your foot there. Forgive me.
So for those who aren't, I think we're about to have Arati, and I think I forgot to mention what is the significance of this day, actually. Probably I should have said that at the beginning. Maybe most of you know, but as I said, in our culture we like to celebrate. It's always minimum 3-day festival, day before, day of, day after. And traditionally, on the appearance day of the Lord and any avatar, then the main celebration actually is the day after. And the day of his appearance, it's kind of like a day of a bit of austerity. There's usually some fasting involved, and remembrance, of course. And then the festival is the day after, right? The Lord, in whichever manifestation he's appearing, his parents and all of his friends and associates, they're celebrating his appearance, right? And so today is the day. So yesterday, Lord Chaitanya appeared at the time of the moonrise in the evening time. And the idea is that we're fasting and remembering up until that time, and then celebrating the moment of his birth. And then the next day, today, marks the day that his parents held a grand festival, welcoming their beautiful new child into their home, inviting all their friends and their neighbors and relatives, and grand feast and so on. And it's called Anandotsav, right? Ananda's joy, Utsav is festival. So it's a festival of joy, celebrating the appearance of the Lord in this world. So Jagannath Mishra is the name of Lord Chaitanya's father. So Jagannath Mishra is Anandotsav, that is what it is called. And all of these things, the Lord's appearance in this world, it's not a matter of history. It's actually an eternal current. It's an eternal. So his birth, his appearance in this world, it's actually like an eternal lila, eternal pastime of the Lord. And so we are, in our way, we are following that and honoring that, and so also having a celebration on this day. As we mentioned yesterday, everything connected with the Lord, including the time of his appearance, becomes sanctified and uplifted. So everything is sacred. And so by honoring that time of his appearance, we are inviting grace and making connection with that higher realm. So we're very, very blessed. Well, now we're about to have Arati. Who's there? Okay, you're doing Arati, huh? Okay. Prabhu. Jai Shri Jagannath Mishra Anandotsav ki jai, Mahotsav ki jai, Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Guru Deva ki jai, Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande.
Shakadevi ki jai.
Sure.